Okay, now this should work. I should be live. I just sent you guys a new stream. Oh, okay, people are showing up. Okay, perfect. New link. This has been so frustrating to get this to work. Hi, Ava. How are you? Ava, however you pronounce it. Let me bring this up. Okay. Let me get my presentation up for everyone. And then we'll wait a couple minutes while we wait for the rest of the gang to get here. I know that they did have another presentation panel with some of the others. Okay, hello everybody. Good evening. Yeah, it is 10 p.m. 10:06 p.m. East Coast. Let me know where you guys are at. Hi everybody. Thank you for hopping over here. Appreciate it. Great. Awesome. So I'm going to give everybody a couple more minutes to join us here. But firstly, I want to apologize for the mix-up with my earlier session, and then mix up here with this other link. But we got it. We're here. We're going to do this. But while we wait for other people to join us, feel free to say hello and introduce yourself down in the chat. Hey, Keelan. Yes, hello. I did finally get this to work. I was just watching your guys' panel, and I came over. Hi, Zara. We'll see you later. Thank you. 4 a.m. Oh my gosh, take a nap. Go to sleep. That's way too late. Hi, Kelly. Okay, cool. So it looks like we've got a bunch of people here. I'm going to go ahead and get started, if that's okay with you guys. So if you guys want to sound off and let me know if you guys are ready to go, we can get started. Okay, awesome. Okay, so good evening, everybody. This is the last workshop for AuthorTube virtual retreats. Oh, sorry, I was controlling the wrong presentation here. I've got like 6 screens. Okay, so this presentation is called Marketing Strategy for Beginners. Just as a little bit of a disclaimer beforehand, this presentation is really about marketing strategy as a concept and as really a strategy for the way that marketers do strategy when it comes to both software as well as other digital products, books, and everything in general. So this is like marketing as an industry, how we as marketers, as me as a marketer, how we would go about coming up with strategies for your marketing strategy. So some of the things I'm going to go over today, there are a few different things, but please bear in mind that marketing is subjective and contextual. And it's always changing. So things with marketing, there's always going to be new systems. There's always going to be new standards. There's always going to be new customers that you're going to need to market to. Your customers change all the time. So, the things that I'm going to present to you today are really basic things that can work in any sort of sense. But, just know that everything's always changing, and there are going to be new things that come along that you're going to want to try out as somebody who's working on their marketing strategy. So let's get into it. So before we get started, who am I and why am I a good person to give you this presentation? So my name is Bri. I am a young adult author living in Southern Maine. I published my first book, Beacon Field, last year. It's a paranormal thriller, young adult. And I graduated from the University of New Hampshire, where I studied marketing and entrepreneurship with a minor in English. And I worked full time in the software industry doing software marketing. And as I said, currently living in Southern Maine. Hi, Jesse. Um, so here are some other things of my experience. I went to the Peter T. Paul School of Business and Economics, studying marketing and entrepreneurship. I was a director of marketing for an investment fund at school where we managed $350,000 in real money to invest in local startups for our university. I was a marketing director, a marketing coordinator for an accounting firm. I've been a sales representative. I've been a customer advocacy specialist, a product marketing specialist, which is my role now. I have, I don't even know, like hours upon hours. I think it's like 80 hours now of training with the Pragmatic Institute, which is a product marketing certification course. And I also have a marketing strategy certification from Cornell University. So I've learned a lot over the past, I graduated from college in 2016. So I've learned a lot in college for 4 years and then a lot in the business world as well. So today I really want to impart some of those little nuggets of wisdom that I can to you all and kind of help you through some of these strategies that may be easy for you to get started on. So let's dive into it. Come on. There we go. So this is what we're going to go over. So first thing we'll be talking about is marketing myopia, then we'll talk about marketing strategy, and then we'll go into marketing framework, and then finally we'll talk about execution. So the first topic we have here is a term called marketing myopia. Now, one of the first terms you really should know before we get into any type of strategy is marketing myopia. What does that mean? Marketing myopia is a nearsighted focus on selling products and services rather than looking at the big picture of what consumers really want from you. So what does this mean? This means that a lot of times the original companies when they started, they were really thinking about, okay, how do we decrease costs? How do we sell as much as possible? How do we become the biggest business in America? How do we do all of these things? But they didn't really stop to think, okay, well, what is it that we're selling? Why are our customers buying us? What makes us different? What makes us valuable? And so this term was coined by a man named Theodore Levitt. He was a German American economist and a professor at the Harvard Business School. Some scholars actually have suggested that Levitt's marketing myopia term marked the beginning of modern marketing movements and marketing to your value to your customers instead of marketing the product, more marketing what it is that we're trying to sell you. Okay. Moving on a little bit more about marketing myopia. So the biggest lesson that I think Theodore Levitt kind of talks about with the marketing myopia is an organization must think of itself not as producing goods and services, but as a company with which people want to do business with. And what does that mean for an author? For authors, authors must think of themselves as not just someone who writes books, but as an author with which people would want to spend their time with. You're selling your brand, you're selling who you are, you're selling your words, you're selling, your brain basically, because these stories that we make up come directly from our brains, right? Who are you promising to be for your readers? That's really what branding and marketing comes down to. At its crux is marketing is positioning a statement with which you're making, whether it's these are the books that I sell or this is what I do. So marketing is always a statement, and the thing with marketing myopia is you want to just remember that you're selling products to customers, you're selling products to people. Okay, so I'm going to pause here for a sec for our secret word. Bop, bop. Okay, oop, where'd it go? So our secret word for today for this session is myopia. I don't know if anybody's heard the word myopia until I talked about it, or if you haven't, or you maybe haven't used it, but I looked it up. I'm gonna look it up again because I don't remember the actual definition. Something with an eyeball. What does it mean? Oh, it's oh well, it's nearsightedness. That would make sense. Yep. Never mind. So yeah, the secret word's myopia. Okay. I'm really tired, guys. Let's get through this presentation, shall we? I'm gonna pause here actually, just as we're going into it, before we get started on any of the marketing strategy or any of the framework stuff. Does anybody have any questions about marketing as a whole? About what marketing is, any basic questions that you guys may have. Oh, wait. Take a sip of water. No? Okay. Let's move on then. I can always check questions later. Come on. There we go. Okay, so the next thing we're going to talk about is marketing strategy. Marketing strategy, why do you need it? Well, you do. You do need it. A lot of companies I've even worked for have, done things willy-nilly just to do them, or, just because they think it's a good idea. And the thing about strategy is that it provides a framework for you. So we're going to talk a little bit more about frameworks and strategies for the rest of our presentation. So, marketing strategy. In many ways, a good marketing plan is a good business plan. Unfortunately, the reality is that very little time is spent on strategic planning. Most of the time is spent on the tactical work. So things like, oh, I got to get this newsletter out by tomorrow because, this is my newsletter date. I got to write this blog, and then I got to publish on social media, and then I got to do this, and then I got to do that. And it turns into this process of just doing things and doing things and doing things, but you never stop to take a minute and assess whether or not you're doing things the way you should be doing them, or if you're even doing the things that you should be doing. There are places where you can put more effort in which those places will have a bigger effect on your business. And those specific strategies or those specific things that you need to work on are not the same for every business. No one, somebody, if Keelan was working on her business marketing strategy and Jessie was working on her marketing strategy, they would have two totally different strategies because Keelan's publishing in fantasy and Jessie's publishing in romance. And there are things that would affect the romance market more than there are things that would affect the fantasy market and vice versa. Quick question: we had traditional publishing versus indie publish. How much marketing do we need to do ourselves? So I am self-published, but I've heard from some of my traditional publishing marketing friends, traditional publishing friends, that they do a lot of their own marketing as well. They, there's nothing when you're with traditional publishing, there's nothing stopping you from doing your own brand marketing. Like, you're always going to need to market yourself as an author, no matter if you're traditionally published or self-published. People want to know what you're doing because you're, an icon to people, or you're an influencer. Like, people want to know what you're up to. So you're always going to want to be providing content, whether or not it's content related to a book. It'll differ on how much money the traditional publishing house has, how much they want to invest in you, how much they've already invested in you. A lot of the times your advance sometimes can be used to put toward marketing, and they expect you to do that. So it depends on who you're with, and it depends on really the result that you're looking to get. Let's okay, cool. Why is marketing so hard? Kelly asks. Kelly, I have been asking myself that every day for the past 6 months while working from home as a marketing specialist. It's very hard, but it's fun when you see the results of the things that you work on. All right, moving on. So I know everybody's going to ask me, what are the different types of strategies? So there are tons, absolutely tons. And when you think of types of strategies, I want you to think of channels, channel marketing, or kind of just like the different places that you touch when you're considering marketing. So things like content marketing, like you put together like a checklist or something, like a self-publishing checklist for your fans, right? And that can be considered content marketing. Email marketing, your newsletters, any sort of like automated campaign that you have that goes out, or sending emails when you have new releases, those kinds of things. Social media marketing, we all know what that one is. We all do that every day. Obviously, it's very important because that's one of the best places to connect with your readers. Website design is quickly becoming much more important with the expansion of open source web designing products like Wix, which allows you to do a lot of creative things with web design, which allows you to provide a lot of creative assets to your customers and prospects. Cross promotional marketing, this one's pretty self-explanatory, but doing promotional campaigns with other authors or other people who are selling products similar to you, selling books similar to you. It's a great way to make a friend, B, advertise together, and then share audiences. I mean, obviously your audience has something in common if they like each of your books, because your books have something in common. So maybe they'll find something else about your personality, or what you are providing as an author through cross promotional marketing. And then something like trade show marketing, which is just event marketing. If you go to an event like BookCon, for example, or even like a local Comic-Con, that would be considered trade show marketing. And there are so many others, tons of others. I couldn't even fit them all on the page. I couldn't even think of a list of them. There are so many others. So when we're talking about our strategy, we really have to realize that strategy doesn't come down to one thing. There are a lot of different factors that can play into how the objective or the goal in which you're trying to achieve with your marketing strategy. Keelan just said, email marketing is something that I want to master. There are some authors who make a full-time living doing only that, and that is very true, Keelan. I have done a lot of research on a lot of excuse me, guys, I guess I'm looking my eye. Done a lot of research on authors who use only email, or at least email and like a landing page to make sales. And I mean, if you have a newsletter list or a database that's large enough, and I'm talking probably like a couple thousand contacts or so, it's really easy to create those what we in the industry call nurture streams. A nurture stream is where you want to nurture someone to complete a task, or a call to action. And that call to action can be as simple as clicking a link, or reaching out to get contact information, or it can even be just to click the link to buy your book too. So if you can track a lot of the analytics and the data of what customers or prospects or whatever are doing on your website or on your social media, and you can gather all that information about them, you can market to them based off of that. You can email to them based off that. That's what we do in software marketing. Is one of my whole jobs is to understand, what market would be interested in the software that I'm selling, and then we specifically target them with emails about pieces of information that would be interesting to them. based on who they are, based on what they're doing, and what I have deemed as their interest. And obviously, from there, I would choose my strategy, which applies. So yes, Keelan, great point. Email marketing is a big thing if you do it right, for sure. All right, next slide. So when we're thinking about strategic marketing plans, and when you're starting off, you need to consider these 3 questions at the beginning. So, all right, I'm sitting down. I have a book that I need to market, get out, and do the whole launch thing, do everything. These are the first 3 things that I need to figure out. Where am I now? Where do I want to go? And how am I going to get there? So where I am now means, what does my business look like right now in this moment? How many sales have I made? How much money have I made? Is that a problem to me? What's the current state of my business? Or if you don't own a business, I mean, you can still consider yourself a business, and I think you should. If you have that mindset, it becomes a lot more high stakes, I guess. But when you're going to publish this book, you're going to think about these preparatory questions first. So then once we know what our business looks like, we need to know where we want to go. So what does that future state of our business look like? What is your ideal life? What does your ideal life look like? What are you doing every day? What kind of books are you publishing? What kind of things are you doing on a daily basis? If, for example, if you don't like email marketing, you don't have to do it. There are a lot of people that make a lot of money off email marketing, but there are also a lot of people that make money off of video marketing, YouTube. And so you have to decide, then we get to the third question, which is how do we get there? We have to decide what avenues or what vehicles we're going to use to get us to the future state. So we have our present state. Our future state is, what we want along the line, and then how we get there, our vehicle for getting there, are all of the strategies that we choose to fulfill objectives that we put forth for ourselves. I'm going to explain that a little bit more in the next section when we talk about frameworks. So let's get into that. Oops. Don't look at that. Spoilers, sorry. Okay, so marketing frameworks. So this is about creating structure. And let me pull up my notes just so I don't make sure I don't forget anything for you guys. So this is where we're going to start putting some formatting to our structure. So imagine if you tried to build a factory without any architectural drawings. How terrible would that be? No one would know what's going on. The builders would be running around like, oh my God, actually the builders would be sitting there being like, and the contractors would be running around like, what are we doing? Or imagine installing an IT infrastructure without using a detailed plan or a map, or imagine that factory again and not factoring out the costs and the benefits and who's going to be working there and so on. So frameworks, plans, paradigms are just as important to marketing as an architectural drawing is to a building. When you build a house, you build the foundation first. You don't build, the second floor. What is it going to live on, right? So you have to build from the ground up. And usually the best place for a marketing strategy is to start from the ground, and start with a framework. So they help you to think strategically about the market that you're in, why you're in it, what you're trying to accomplish, and really give you a roadmap to your future success. So let's look at a really, I'm going to say basic and simple, and you guys are going to see it and be like, that's not basic and simple, Bri. I have no idea what that says. And I will explain it to you. So here is our basic and simple marketing framework. So you'll see here we've got the 3 C's. Oops, just trying to show you guys with my thing, but it didn't look good. Let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. So we've got the 3 C's at the top, which are customer, competition, and company. In the middle, we've got our STP. We'll go over that in a second. And then at the end, we have our execution, which is our 4 Ps, which is product, price, place, promotion. And let's kind of go into some of these frameworks a little bit. And this will start to make a little bit more sense once I talk through these a little bit more. So 3 Cs. This is something that I learned, I think, like first day in business school. It's one of the things that they teach us every year too. So they reiterate this. The 3 Cs is the frameworks at the 3 Cs level are used to appraise the situation in the view of these 3 categories, which are customer, competition, and company. So what business are you in? And what is it art that you're providing? So for us, it would be we're in the publishing industry and we are providing books. Or if you are selling services as well, you're in the X service industry and you're providing X service. And it also helps to figure out what those overarching problems are that may be related to the 3 Cs before you get started. So what could be an overarching problem that would be related to these 3 things? Well, for example, competition. An overarching issue with competition would be there's too much of it. Or there's one competitor who is like Walmart and has a monopoly on, X, type of book or whatever. So the 3 Cs are a really important step to look at issues that you may find with these 3 really important topics or 3 really important categories before you get started. Customer, competition, and company. Company would be internal issues. So like if you had, let's see, I'm trying to think of an example. I think for us, being, or for anybody who's a self-published author, I think company would be more like the people that you work with. So like the people that you hire, like your editor or like your cover designer or something. An issue with company would be like, if your cover designer was flaky or if your editor, didn't have good reviews or something like that. Those would maybe considered issues that you would want to address in the beginning so that you don't have to address them near the end of your strategy of executing your strategy. And when we say the frameworks at the 3 Cs level, there are tons of other frameworks. I'm kind of going over a really basic framework here, but if you search marketing frameworks, you'll come up with a ton of them. And if you search, 3 Cs level marketing frameworks, you'll get a ton of them too. So those frameworks will teach you to ask the right questions at these levels. So the next level of strategy we have is called the marketing strategy. And it's often or sometimes called the STP, which is the segment, target, and position. And this is really important as well. So segment is, I'm just kind of read through this slide because it's pretty self-explanatory, but you don't just market to everybody when you're marketing something, right? So in Amazon, we have our keywords and our categories to help, narrow it down by the type of book we're writing, right? But we don't, just, it's not like we throw it out on Amazon and it's, Wild Wild West out there, which it sometimes is. There are categories that are attached to that. So we know that there are segments of people that are interested in certain categories, right? So we break up the market into segments based on a variety of relevant factors. So like a segment would be, if I was breaking up my segments by age, it could be 18 to 24, 25 to 35, 35 plus, whatever. Those could be segments, right? You can also segment based on, music preferences. You can segment based on location. You can segment based on gender. You can segment based on, trying to think of other things. likes, dislikes. You can segment based on, whether or not they like J.K. Rowling and all of that kind of stuff. So first we want to segment our market so that we're not marketing to a huge group, right? Because that's just way too broad. We want to be very specific. And then from there, from our segments, we want to target specific segments that have a competitive advantage. So the places where we can make the most money. So for example, if we know that, we're selling young adult books, right? So we know that, 18 to 24 are probably buying and they have their own money. So if we market to them, they can buy their own books, right? And there's like, librarians will buy young adult books too, and yada yada. So we can target those groups and say, okay, these are my most like these groups are the most likely to, make me money. So I'm only going to advertise to them. So then from there, you have to figure out your position. And your position is how you show your product to your target market. So for your target market, sorry, I got distracted by a comment. So your target market are those targeted segments that you chose, right? So 18 to 24-year-old people are going to respond to a different positioning statement than their grandparents would, right? So we need to determine who our targets are, and then from that we determine how are we going to get them to purchase X service or product, right? So, what are the keywords that they're looking for? What is it that they're looking for from your book? Just looking to have a good time? Are they looking to get scared? Are they looking for some sexy time? You gotta figure it out. Your position really it's you're positioning your product to emphasize what you offer, and how you're offering more quote unquote value than the competitors. So why would they like your book more than others? Let's see, what do we got for time? Okay, perfect on timing. The last part is execution. So now it's time to put the strategy into to work. So we've got 4 categories that I want you guys to consider when you're executing, and these are called the 4 Ps. And this is a really big topic in Marketing 101 as well. I think this is probably the first day we talk about the 4 Ps. So those 4 things are product. So you have your products and your services, and you're ready to bring them to market. Price. You'll then set the price which consumers are willing to pay. Place. You'll need a way of getting products to the right place at the right time. So for us, it's Draft to Digital, Amazon, Spark, those kinds of places. And then promotion. You have to communicate and promote to sell that product to customers. So these are all what we know about marketing, right? So when we execute, we want to make sure that each thing that we do falls into each of these categories. So for example, for product on execution, we need to make sure that the product's done and ready, packaging's all set, cover's ready, it's uploaded to Amazon, the final files up there, all that kind of stuff. Price, this is a whole nother conversation for another time. It could be a whole workshop topic on its own. Price is a big thing for a lot of people, and I'm not going to make any suggestions on that. I have my own opinions on pricing, but do your research, see what other people are doing in the industry, and price based on that. Place, again, this one's pretty straightforward for what we do. There aren't a lot of distribution channels. I mean, there are a lot of distribution channels, and most of us know about them. But definitely do your research on where you're going to make the most money out of these distribution channels. And then promotion, of course, and promotion encompasses all that we would consider a marketing tactics. So posting to social media, or completing a content marketing piece or something like that. Those would all be considered promotion. So when we look at this really basic framework altogether, we can see that customer, competition, and company product, price, place, and promotion, they all feed into our marketing strategy, right? So, as I said at the beginning of this presentation, you know, marketing is subjective and contextual, right? So this shows it. You know, if your customer wants something, unique and different that the competition's not able to provide, that can then influence your promotion, which will influence, the way that you're positioning your product. So there's a lot of things that there's a lot of things that go into it when it comes to actually coming up with a marketing strategy. But the biggest thing to remember is, let's see if yes, the animation works. Biggest thing to remember is that marketing is cyclical, and it's also ever changing. Like I said before, it's dynamic, it's not static, it's always changing. So this arrow here indicates that it's not a linear process at all. And I think that this is the biggest thing that angers me about marketing, is that it's not a linear process. And um, as you get more clearly defined on one aspect of your strategy, or you begin to execute it, you may determine that there's a different price point or positioning document, or maybe this product isn't even the right book for this at this time. And you may find that changing some things may result in a better strategy or a better outcome to your strategy. And at that point, you need to rework your plans and better align with the strategy based on your objectives before you can continue. And that's the thing that I struggle with most on a daily basis as a product marketing specialist, because things are never complete. But it is nice when you can see the progression of growth within your company, and growth in sales and that kind of thing. So remember that it's worth it, and that it should be fun. If you find yourself getting too frustrated with it, you may decide that marketing isn't your forte, and it's not for everybody. Trust me. Um, so you may want to outsource some of these things. Outsource your social media to a social media manager. Get yourself a virtual assistant, so that you can really focus on the strategy. So you can focus on the strategic things that need to happen within your company. And then you can give the virtual assistant, or whoever it is, you can give them the tactical things to complete for you, so that you can free up some time for you to come up with what it really is that you want your business to be and how you want to get there. So with that in mind, I'm going to talk a little bit about execution, and I have a little exercise for the last 15 minutes or so for you guys. So if you guys want to grab a pen or a pencil, notebook, piece of paper, your hand if you'd like, and I want you to think about these 3 questions that I have here. And they're really, really broad questions. So what are some, I want you to, excuse me, think about the marketing that you've been doing with your business up until this point. Where can you make improvements? Where are the gaps? What do you like? What do you dislike? So just jot down really quickly, top of your head, what's the biggest thing that bothers you about your marketing? Or, maybe it is the lack of strategy. Whatever it is, just jot it down really quickly. And then if we have some brave souls who want to share what their objectives are, we can take a look in the chat. Let me check the chat for questions while you guys are writing down your responses. Okay, so one of my things that I think there's a gap in my marketing strategy, we talked about it earlier, is email marketing. I think because it's something that I do very often at work, it's something that I don't want to do, um, when it comes to my personal stuff. So a lot of times, like my newsletters or any sort of emails, um, I just don't feel like scheduling them or coming up with a sequence or whatever it is. So that would be one thing that I would want to change. Charlie, yeah. What do I not like about my marketing that I haven't been doing any? Oh, well, yeah. Um, I've been trying to get some stuff out, but it's just hard sometimes, especially when you got other things going on. Okay, so once you guys have thought about this, thought about your gaps, thought about, things that may be missing or things that need to be changed, I want you to take a look at this really basic framework, very similar to what we were referring to earlier with, the circles and the SCP in the middle and the other circles. So when it comes to creating a marketing strategy, this is where I want you guys to start. So strategic marketing plan, I've set up these 3 columns for you. It's objectives, strategies, and tactics. So when it comes to um, taking a look at what it is you want to change, so we go back to these questions, right? So we want to see where we want to make our improvements, where the gaps are, what we like and what we dislike. So that's going to inform our objectives. Now, an objective is a goal or something big that you want to achieve. So it's something that's measurable, definitely. So it should be something you can see whether or not you've achieved it at the end of the quarter, at the end of the year, or whatever timeline you've set up for your objectives. When doing a marketing plan or strategic marketing plan specifically, I would only focus on objectives, a small number of objectives, and maybe even make those objectives connect in some way or in a similar category, so that you're not overwhelming yourself too much because there's going to be a lot of information coming at you at once you start your research and that kind of thing. So for objectives, for example, I'll throw one out there. Increase my social media following by 10%. There's an easy one. I can put a date on that, by X date or by whatever date. So then I go over to the next column and I take a look at strategies and I determine, and I can go to my list of strategies, where I can go to my list of strategies in my mind and think of, what are those things that I'm going to need to employ? What are those types of strategies I'm going to need to employ in order to increase my social media following by 10%? So obviously, social media marketing. But then I need another way to get those people to my social media. So if it wasn't, COVID times, maybe another way to get people to your social media would be event marketing. So that kind of thing. And then from there, we talk about tactics. So for example, social media marketing is one of your strategies. What are the tactics? What are the campaigns you're going to complete within that marketing, within that social media strategy? How are you going to get people to start sharing your content so that you can increase your following by 10%, which is your overall objective? So it's really taking a look at this 3-step process and determining, okay, what are my goals? What are the strategies I'm going to use to get there? And under those strategies, what are the tactics that I need, right? So objectives here are future state. And this is how we're going to get there. These two, really, but mostly these, because these are the actual tactical things. So these tactical things right here, these are the things that you can pass off to other people, like a VA or whatever. These things, the objectives and the strategies are really, up to you. Like those, as a CEO or as like a director of marketing or VP of marketing, a lot of this is what their job is, and then this is what specialist's job is. So I'm going to leave this up for a while. I saw a couple questions come in while I was chatting. A couple people left us. Bye for now. Let's see. What I don't like about Tamara would say, what I don't like about my marketing, I've become inconsistent. Yep. I used to be much more energetic and deliberate in my marketing, and I feel like I need to find a new avenue to make it fresh for me. That is great point, Tamara. Happens to all of us. Happens to marketing professionals every day. Some of us more frequently than others. But yes, you're right. You do have to find a way to make it more fresh for you, make it interesting for you and engaging. I actually started working with a social media manager that I found on Fiverr. She's she was supposed to do like the managing part of it, but I just decided to have her create some posts for me and give me some post ideas and some strategy ideas, just because it's always nice to have an extra set of eyes too. So if you're, feeling a little, I don't want to do marketing, I just don't want to look at it, don't want to do social media, whatever. If you're feeling like that, sometimes a second set of eyes can be really helpful. So pass off some ideas to somebody else and say, hey, what do you think of these? Are there any pieces of content I should create? You've read some of my work. Are there some like short stories maybe you could write based on that? So, really bringing it to a friend or bringing it to another professional is really helpful. And I would definitely recommend that. Let's see. The pronoun I know social media is definitely going to be an issue for me because I am so disinterested in keeping up with the account on every platform. I need a manager from the jump. Yeah, that's true. Especially during all of this COVID stuff. I hate going on Instagram, and I know that Instagram is like my biggest market for selling books, but I gotta take care of my mental health a little bit more than marketing some books. And I just don't. Social media is there's no good stuff on there anymore. It's just people arguing. It triggers me, so I tend to, if I'm gonna post stuff, post positive things, and try to unfollow all the accounts that you don't need. Oh, and turn off all your notifications. I'm telling you, do it. You'll thank me. I promise. Um, hire a VA. Yes, VAs would be awesome. Okay, cool. All right. So this, if you guys want to screenshot this slide, or it's pretty simple. But remember, only do a couple objectives. Don't overwhelm yourself. I know that there are a lot of things that you probably want to change when it comes to your marketing strategy and your marketing plan, but don't overwhelm yourself because you will get burnt out, and you will start projects and not complete them, and that's no good for anybody's strategy or anybody's user experience. So make sure that you're focusing on the work that you want to complete. You're breaking all of everything down into bite-sized tactics or bite-sized events, or what's the word, like a checklist. Make sure you're putting everything in order and that kind of thing. But this should really help you kind of look at it, what it is you want to do and where you want to go as a company. So, all right, that's it. That's all I had, and I have 7 minutes. So I got 7 minutes. Ask me some questions. I know it's late. There's only a few people here. But thank you again for attending, everybody. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun. I worked really hard on this presentation, and as I said before, I am a marketing professional. It is something that I do all day, every day. So if you have questions, please feel free to put them in chat. But if you have other questions that you are either not comfortable with asking, or you're watching this on the replay, please feel free to email me. My email is right here. Bri R Leclerc at Gmail. And anybody who's interested, I did get these slides off SlideGo, which is a great website for free presentation slides if anybody's looking for them. Oops, go back a slide. So yeah, questions if anybody has them, but if you don't, I can give you 6 minutes 6 minutes back. So let me know. I'm waiting patiently for your questions. Play like the Jeopardy music. Okay. I know that StreamYard has a delay. Look at YouTube. Nothing on YouTube. Okay. So again, I'll pop this bad boy up so you have my email. Again, my name is Bri. I am a self-published young adult author, marketing professional by day. And as I said, if you have any questions about marketing strategy or marketing in general, or if you want to talk strategy, I'm always down to do that too. My email's there, my website's there. You can find me on social media at Bri R Leclerc on pretty much all platforms. I don't post to YouTube very often, but if you would like to, please subscribe and hit the like button. I want to thank Keelan and everybody from the AuthorTube virtual retreats. This has been awesome. A really great experience. I'm glad that we could all get together and do something like this for all of you guys. And yeah, so thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, great. Well, I hope everybody has a good evening. All right. Bye, everybody. Thanks.